there would be moments where you were still suffering in your life because you didn't have control over how you feel, how you live your life, your action. Real successes. It's not money. It's not sales. It's not business. It's not your Lambo, your fucking watch. It's how you feel about yourself when no one's around.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the HVAC and Plumbing Hustle podcast. And today I've got Sean Michael Crane from Unstoppable 365. How you doing,
man,
sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing very good. We're going to expose Sean Michael Crane today on our show, but we're talking about why your routine is messing up your sales. And I think one thing that I got to kind of exposed to the idea of how big of a factor routine is with the first salesperson I ever really worked with very closely. I asked him for sales tips and he gave me morning routine tips, which was weird.
Yeah.
And I really focused a little bit more on routine after that because he sold a lot. But before we get into that, I want to challenge you on something that I see a lot of fitness gurus out there, and they tell everyone that if you get your body right, then your business will follow. But not everyone who has a really good fitness routine has a great business. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, most bodybuilders are broke. They don't have a lot of money. All they think about and focus on is sculpting their body. What I look at when I train clients or when I work with people is how to turn you into the best version of yourself possible. Like, I don't want a great body and then to be broke. I don't want to have a bunch of money, but then to be fat and not really feel connected to my wife or my children. I want it all, man. And so I know that if I work on myself every day and develop my mindset, I learn new information, I'm reading books, I'm around the right people, I'm taking care of my health, that's a catalyst for success in all areas of life. What I mean by that is how you feel. Like, how you feel is the most valuable thing you possess. Way more valuable than money. If you had a bunch of money right now, you'd be fired up. But if you didn't have mastery over your thoughts, if you had addictions, if you weren't your best self, there would be moments where you were still suffering in your life because you didn't have control over how you feel, how you live your life, your actions. So I went to prison when I was 23 and I was facing life in prison. This is when I learned what real success is. It's not money. It's not sales. It's not business. It's not your Lambo, your fucking watch. It's how you feel about yourself when no one's around and doing things every day that make you feel proud of who you are and then being aligned to like a greater calling or purpose in your life. So for me, it's so much more than just the superficial stuff. And I have this bigger understanding of how I'm impacting people and what's at stake if I don't do the right thing right now. And that's why every day, so like my routines are not just about doing a cold plunge to put it on Instagram, working out to show my muscles. Like,
I don't even do a cold plunge if I don't put it on Instagram, to be honest.
Like, dude, but so to answer your question, like, routines are important, but being skilled in sales is also important. Like, your routines aren't going to make or break your sales. It's everything. It's who you are and how you're showing up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, let me continue to challenge you a little bit here. Because you see fat CEOs.
Yeah.
And do you ever, when you're hanging out, let's say you're coaching people and you're going to somebody, you're hanging out with somebody that has $100 million business or something that's fat, and you're thinking, does that ever make you second guess what you're doing in coaching? Because you're like, I wish I had that $100 million business.
I wouldn't trade my body for $1 trillion right now. Yeah. I would not even spend a day in a fat body for all the money in the world. I wouldn't, because I define success differently. This is the thing. Society is going to tell you what success is. Society is going to tell you need money, you need to have a Roth IRA, you need to be safe and secure and have a house and pay your fucking mortgage off and, get a good credit score. Dude, you know how many people are suffering right now in the world who have money and that stuff, but they're not taking care of their health? Their mental health is fucked. They're addicted to porn and drugs and all these things behind the scenes. I know so many 9-figure earners that are not happy. They're not thriving. They don't have inner peace. That's what success is for me. So when I was locked up, I was facing life in prison. And I thought about the life I'd lived to that point. And I saw nothing but, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, next time. Holding back, excuses, procrastination. I wasn't living as the person I truly wanted to be.
Why'd you go to prison?
So, yeah, you don't know my story. This is good. So I was 23. I went to a college party. At that time in my life, I didn't have directions. I wasn't direction. I wasn't ambitious. I wasn't goal oriented. I was just going through the motions. I was battling addiction. I was partying. I was working, in a tree service business for my uncle as a blue collar guy. And I wasn't focused on.
Great business, by the way, tree service.
It is, and I had a lot of trauma and things happened growing up. My parents were battling addiction. They left me at a young age. So I had all this internal turmoil I hadn't dealt with. So that led me to partying, drinking, and trying to escape my problems, right? I went to this party one night and there was all these college age kids there drinking, all these guys. And there was these two groups of guys that were arguing. You could tell they were going to fight. So I went outside to watch the fight. And I was really close to the two groups of guys and it turned into this huge brawl. And I got blindsided and tackled to the ground. And I thought I was getting jumped. I'm like, fuck, man. Like they thought I was in the fight. I'm just trying to watch the fight. And I'm wrestling with this guy, trying to get him off me. And then finally he rolled off of me. And he was like a big guy. I could not get him off me. And finally he just kind of rolled off. And my only thought was, punch this guy. He's trying to jump you. So I threw two punches at him and they didn't even hit him. They like glanced off the side of his head and he stayed face down on the ground when I stood up. And everyone's yelling, screaming. My friend, the one person I went to the party with, is saying, Sean, let's go. Let's get out of here, man. And I walk over to him and I get under the street light and I'm just covered in blood, head to toe. All over my face, my arms, my shirt, like not just a bloody nose, like a lot of blood. Like someone poured a bucket of blood on me. And he's like, what the hell, man? What did you do? Like, what happened over there? And he just took off running. He was scared and everyone ran and I followed them. And so I knew something really bad had happened in that fight. And it turns out, I Googled it the next morning after we went back to his place and passed out, and it said 2 men were stabbed in a fight. One of them's in critical condition. They don't think he's going to survive. And it turns out that guy that was on top of me had been stabbed multiple times by the other group. No one knew who did it. Everyone saw me on the ground throwing those punches, wrestling with this guy and running away. And so when the cops came, they questioned everyone. That's what they told them. Oh yeah, this guy, Sean, like, we saw him wrestling with the guy. He threw punches. It was all written up in the police report. So the next day they came to my friend's house. They must have tracked my phone and the GPS, and they had AR-15s. They had the forensic unit, the dogs, and they arrested me. And I thought they were just going to try to get me to tell them who did it and what happened and press me for information. But they ended up booking me in the county jail for attempted murder. And they told me the guy was brain dead and they were going to change my charges to homicide. And I was 23 years old and I thought my entire life was over. And so in that moment, man, sitting in my cell 24 hours a day with nothing to do but just think and be terrified. And you know what we do when we're in bad situations is we magnify it by the way we think, right? Have you ever had a bad day and then you're like all pissed off in your head and you're thinking about it. And so I was sitting in that cell every day doing the same thing. And that's when I changed my life by first changing my perspective. I found a way to look at my situation as potentially a positive one that could have blessings that I couldn't see in the moment, but down the road could help me in my life. And so then I started doing things in that cell every day to just make myself occupied and busy, but that would help me to feel good at the end of the day. Like I didn't just want to sit there and rot away. And I would work out in the morning. I would read, I would write and study. And I started doing that every day. And that's when I started actually feeling proud of my daily actions. And I started to feel this inner peace and this gratitude swell within me. Even while I was facing life in prison, I didn't know how much time I was going to do. I started to feel this gratitude for life and this positive energy that I had never felt before. And to me, that's what success is. It's that inner feeling. And that allowed me, when I got out of prison, to come home and build a business, start a family, take care of my family, speak on these stages, network at these high level events. It's because of the person I created through those daily routines over time. It gave me confidence, discipline, because like sales and business and making a lot of money, a lot of people struggle with that because deep down inside, they don't believe they can do it. It's a self-belief thing, right? Or some people do really good in that. They make a lot of money and scale a business, but they neglect their health and they get fat and out of shape, or they're not really like present with their kids and their family. They get divorced. They cheat on their wives. Is that a successful guy? The CEO you were talking about earlier with $100 million, but he has a big fat belly and his wife and him don't even have sex, and like they text in bed and they don't even talk, and he doesn't even spend time with his kids. Like, dude, that is so unsuccessful. Like money does not equate to success. A truly successful man is a good father, a good leader, a good husband. He's an example. So he's fit, right? Dude, do your action figures growing up, do they have muscles or fat bellies? Does Superman have a big belly or biceps? It's because that's what's harder to cultivate and create. Which person? The lazy person who makes excuses He doesn't love himself. He just eats for pleasure. Like, he's selfish. So how can that person be successful? Those are the guys that suffer so badly behind closed doors. I know because I talk to all them. The 9-figure earners, they hire me to help them get their mindset right and show them the daily routines that create that inner peace, that self-love, that gratitude, because they've neglected themselves for so long. The money and all the stuff they thought that was going to do it for them, it doesn't. They still feel empty.
So
that was a long-winded answer.
No, I appreciate it. I'm working on not interrupting on this channel.
I appreciate that. It was a great interview. I'll talk forever, so interrupt me though.
Most of the people I have on are pretty, we all like to talk. So you think it's got to be both, essentially is what you're saying. It's got to be both. You got to like have money and...
Well, let's be honest. Like, first you have to define what success is. Here's the truth. Just the money alone is not going to do it. Mm-hmm. It's not. You know, the craziest thing happened to me, like when I was locked up, I would just think and sit and reflect all day long about so many things. And, you know, in that cell, I never wished, you know, it was like I died. I think about people who are on their deathbed reflecting on their life. That's what I felt like. I felt like my life was over. So you start to think differently. Like for you, it's kind of hard to understand this because you've never been on your deathbed. You're not like fighting cancer right now. You're not sitting in a hospital room or a jail cell like I was.
I did go psychotic once. I went to a mental facility. Okay. I felt like I had died.
Okay. So maybe you can relate to this. But when you're in those situations, you think about the life you've lived and you look at things a little differently. Yeah. Very few people on their deathbed are going to tell you, man, I wish I made more money. Yeah. I wish I worked more. You know, God, I wish I like bought more fucking cars and like stuff. All those people are thinking about is, I wish I spent more time with my loved ones. Mm-hmm. I wish I pursued that big goal. Like, I wish I became the person my heart is calling me to be. Like, when I sat in my cell, I recognized that there was two versions of me. There's two versions of all of us. There's the person that most people settle for, and that's an excuse-making person, a person that lets fear dictate their actions, a person that stopped believing in themselves. And then there's the person that we're born to be, that highest self, that best version of you. And we have a vision of who that person is. Like, most of us know what changes and things we want to do. It's just something ingrained into us, right? But a lot of people over time, they don't believe it's possible, or they use things to distract them, or they're numb from drugs, alcohol, food. So they settle. And here's the thing. In my jail cell, I realized, man, the way I lived is not who I truly want to be. You know, and God gave me a second chance to live differently. And that's why I have this mentality and why I'm all in. But I think a lot of people on their deathbed, they're going to wish that they had a second chance to do it differently.
So Rilla allows you to listen to, it's an AI in your pocket, listens to the appointment. It's pretty crazy what it can do. It gives a script, gives everything they said, it breaks down some statistics for you.
Analyze talk ratio, interactivity, like how you and I are interacting back and forth, longest modeling, like all those things.
Honestly, this is the shit that I most believe in AI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Enhancing
You're about to put math and data around something that used to be my magic skill.
I want you to give us the end of the story, or at least the beginning of your life out of prison, but we'll leave that for a little bit later in the interview. Talk to me about routines. From your point of view, what are some patterns that you see in high performers that are happy, both, right? Money and fit maybe, and also like good mindsets. What are some patterns that you see in high performers?
Like, your neurotransmitters in your brain are what kind of dictate how you feel. So when like serotonin is high and dopamine's high, you feel elevated, you feel elated, you feel great, right? That's why people, you know, look on their phones all the time. They get those dopamine hits, or why they eat that food that tastes good, or why we do drugs, or like there's certain things that make us feel really good in the moment, but then you come down from them, you know?
My biggest vice is phone.
Yeah, well, every time you go on the phone and check Instagram or you get a message, you know, research shows that you get a dopamine spike. Yeah. And your brain gets addicted to these things that we do, you know? So for me, it used to be drugs and alcohol, maybe women, just like a fast-paced lifestyle, a wild, crazy lifestyle, you know, like a rock star life, right? It was fun. But there's a cost to that life. There's a downside, right? And so the routines are important for me because, number one, these are things that are predictable, like they're within my control. And it sets the tone for my day. So, for instance, if you get up and the first thing you do is check your phone and then check your emails, and then you go drop the kids off at school and you go into work and you're, you know, delegating and training and teaching people, you're just in a reactionary state from the moment you wake up. And, you know, it's good to be able to execute things. But for me, I like to reflect and make sure that things I'm doing are leading me to the place I want to be in my life.
That
you know?
first 30 minutes of the day seems like really crucial.
It is,
if I
because
get up and check my phone and then I see some drama or some negativity, I find it colors the rest of my day. But if
Yeah.
I take just a half an hour at the beginning of the day and do some like meditation or
you feel different, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're putting on your armor for the day.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things I teach go back to my time in prison, because it was like the Harvard of entrepreneurship. I'm serious. I would wake up in this tiny cell with another person, and I still got thousands of days that I'm going to be in there for, and like you're in this toxic, negative environment. You can feel the energy, right? People are in there for murder, robbery, arson, like bad people, right? Face tattoos, violent people, stabbings. So I started waking up in the morning before anyone else so I could just have a little quiet time too, because it's a loud place. You have no privacy. And I would just, think about my life, and I'd start to tap into gratitude. I'd close my eyes and pray to God for strength. I'd think about my loved
you're a pretty
ones.
boy too.
Pretty good
I
looking,
bet
right?
you the prison guys were like fucking with you at least, because it's like not even that they're trying to do weird stuff, but like they probably were like fucking with you a little bit.
So I got respect in prison because of my discipline.
Okay.
Right. And because I showed respect and I was disciplined and I had my program down. In prison, it's all about like your program. Like, do you work out hard? Is your area clean? Do you have respect? Like, are you a man's man? If you're a pussy, you'll get picked on in prison, but I'm not. I just chose to be a good man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a violent person. I'm not partying and doing drugs. All those guys are wounded. They're just trying to cover up their pain. Mm-hmm. Like that's a facade. I can see right through it. A real man is a man who can just be there for his family, be a leader. You don't need drugs. You don't need alcohol. Like, you're a fucking man, dude. You have integrity. You have character. But we'll get into that in a second. So anyway, I'd get up and I'd just literally close my eyes and I'd like pray to God and think about all the good things that could happen in my life. I would literally go through this self-talk of like, thank you, God, for just putting a beat in my heart this morning. Thank you for these legs that I could walk around, and thank you for my eyes. I could see colors. And then I'd start picturing my family members and just like envisioning them out there doing good things and thriving. And I would spend, 15, 20 minutes in this meditation cultivating this gratitude inside of me. And that became like my armor, man. When I did that, and then I'd get up and like read a little bit and work out, that first hour of the day prepared me to go into that negative environment. And I had my armor on. I cultivated this perspective and energy inside of me that didn't allow me to get caught up in the drama or look at this guy and have negative thoughts about him. I was just creating my own little world that I was living in. And when you do that and you feel good, you're more likely to then be able to follow through with the positive actions that actually get you results. Like, a lot of people don't have the results, whether it's their body, their money, their relationships, because they sabotage those things. They don't go to the gym. They eat bad food. They're not like prepared for business or sales the way they need to be. They're not bringing the best version of themselves home. All that stuff's preventable.
I know it's going to be difficult because it's kind of bullshit, but could you give me like a ideal layout, or maybe just tell us what your routine is when you're able to do it?
Yeah. I mean, my goal is to do this 7 out of 7 days a week. I don't do it 7 out of 7 days. There's some days I want to cuddle with my kids in the morning and my wife, but I get up every day at 5, and that gives me an hour where I can just be by myself. I sip coffee. I sit in a chair just like this, and I just pay attention to my thoughts and how I'm feeling. And I always reflect on the day before. Does anything stand out that I wish I could have done better or differently? Like, did I do anything that's out of character of the man that I want to be? It might be one little thing, like the end of the night, I raised my voice with my son because he wasn't listening. And maybe I was a little too harsh. And I'm like, okay, I could be better than that. I'm always taking inventory, right? So I sip coffee, I pay attention. Then I might do a quick little 10-minute meditation. I might read 10 pages out of a book. I might get inspiration to write a post on Facebook, so I'll write a post. But that morning hour is just all about like getting primed for the day. Then I go do my exercise bike in the garage for 30 minutes. Because when I get my heart rate up and I sweat a little, I'm a different human being. I'm better. I'm more crisp. I'm more concise. I'm focused.
And legs, right? Legs are good for testosterone. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But just sweating and getting your heart rate up. You could walk, you could swim, you could lift weights. It changes the way that you see the world and how you feel. Like, if you go into the gym and you're having a bad day, chances are you're going to leave there and you're going to feel better 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And there's something about elevating your heart rate, getting your blood pumping. It just shifts those feelings inside of you internally, and it's an outlet. So I do the exercise bike
reflection, exercise,
and then I do the cold plunge. I have it right in my garage. I like that because it wakes me up, dude. 3 minutes in 39-degree water. From a health standpoint, there's a lot of good benefits to the cold. circulation. It releases dopamine and neurotransmitters in your brain.
Mine's usually at 45 degrees.
Inflammation, anywhere below 50 is going to get the same effect.
Yeah.
But then I go in and I start making my kids their snacks and lunch for school. And then I wake them up. My wife's getting up. And I really love this morning where I get to like spend time with them. I make them their little snacks. We get them ready for the day. And then I go and drop my daughter off at kindergarten. And usually my wife will take my son because they're kind of in different directions. And my daughter just started kindergarten. Every morning I get to walk her to class, hold her hand. On the way to school, we sing her favorite songs. And like, dude, that moment is so precious for me.
How far is the walk?
Well, the drive is about 30 minutes and then it's a short walk from the parking lot.
Okay.
But she's going to one of the best private schools in Santa Barbara. And we'll get into money and sales and all this. Like, look, it's important to have money because you can take care of your family. My daughter's going to the best school in Santa Barbara because I work my ass off and I want to put her in the right environment. But look, I just want to finish my routine so you know.
Yeah.
Then I go into my workflow. I've already done things for myself to stack those wins. I've already, had a good start of the day with my family. Then I go into my workflow, coaching calls, content, sales calls, whatever I'm doing that day. And then at about 4:30, later in the day, I go work out. I hit a workout at 2:00 and then I go home. And when I go home, my goal, man, and my focus is to be just as intentional and present as I am on those sales calls, as I am in that morning routine. If I go home and I'm on my phone or I'm bringing a burnt out, stressful day into my kids and my wife's life, like that's not a win for me. I got to finish the day strong. And I look at that last couple of hours of the day with them as so important because I'm only getting those 2-3 hours a day with them in the afternoon. And that's when a lot of guys, man, they go home and they're shot out.
Yeah, that's how I feel, honestly. That's one of my biggest things is because as a leader, I'm sure some people can relate to this. I say the shit boils up.
Yeah.
Like the worst things, unfortunately, get to me. And like a lot of the positive stuff kind of stays down here. Everyone's doing a good job. Like we have clients, and ours are very recurring. So it's like if somebody's frustrated, and you can always do better as a marketing company, right?
Yeah.
So but like the one or two terrible things that happen that week or whatever, boom, hits the CEO because the hat hits the CEO. And I'm sure other people can relate to that. So then you have, I have this emotional energy that sometimes it's tough being a CEO, man. It's tough being a CEO. How many people do you lead?
We have about 10 team members right now.
Okay. Well, that's enough
to
fucking get stressed out, right? So what do you do with that stress when it comes, like, let's say a customer or something like that is like frustrated in some way? Or
a long time ago, I was able to train myself to emotionally detach from like outcomes, right? Like when I first started my business and I was scaling and growing, I would do a sales call and some guy would hang up as he was supposed to like give his card, right?
Yeah.
And I'd be all mad, like, dude, I was so close to getting that guy in the program. I want to help these guys, And obviously I want to build a successful business. And then I noticed that would affect how I was around my wife and kids. I'd be all irritable and like I would be in my head like thinking about what I did wrong. So a long time ago, I was able to train myself to detach from these things in business so they don't faze me. They don't faze me. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I've gotten really good at it. Because when that happens, then how do you show up on the next sales call? Or like how do you show up when you go home?
I think one of the reasons I've got that issue, and I'm using free consulting here, so thank you.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this too real quick. That's why training your body and eating properly and having discipline is so important because you train and program a part of your brain that then carries over into those types of scenarios. Like I go to the gym every day and put myself in adversity through pain, through like self-imposed suffering. I'm psychotic, right? But like if I could withstand that pressure on a day-to-day basis, like the workouts I do are 10 times harder than anything else in life. So like I see a lot of guys that get mad at their kids over something, or they're like talking to their wife a certain way, or their team members, or they get mad when something happens in business. Dude, you're fucking soft and you've weakened yourself with your daily routines. So you don't have the mental bandwidth, the strength, the willpower to be able to act accordingly in those moments. That's why personal development will always create more professional success. It's all those little things. Let's talk about the guy who has a lot of money, but he's an asshole to his team members. Is that guy successful? He belittles them. He treats them like shit. His turnover is high.
I think there's some identity issues in there too, and like definitely respect. And like, I'm working out. Maybe not as hard as you, but I'm working. So I'm working on that. The other thing that I think happens too is like I identify with my business a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think my business is me.
Yeah.
And I think when I'm in my best self, I recognize that's a game. I mean, I'm playing a game. I put my heart into it, but it's a game, and
Yeah.
it's fine if stuff is bad sometimes. Like it goes back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Like being a business owner is like having the best day and the worst day of your life 15 minutes apart. Like
It's so funny. I heard someone say
Yeah.
that, you know, like he explained entrepreneurship and he explained this roller coaster where like in the morning you wake up, you feel fucking great. Then you get a text message and you feel like you're a loser. And then like,
Yeah.
you know, an hour later, you feel like you're the best husband and dad in the world. And then
Yeah.
later that day when your kids are acting up, you feel like you're failing. And it's across the board. And that's why having the right mentality and perspective is so important. Like, you know, no matter what happens, I'm always trying to find the learning lesson in it. And I think that's the difference between being feeling like a victim and caught up in these scenarios and letting them negatively affect you, and then rising above them. Anything that happens right now, if all my team members quit right now and they left the booth and they're like, fuck this event, we're gone. Like, I could look at that and get emotional and get mad and upset, or I could take a second and go, okay, how can I turn this into a win? Like, this is what prison did for me. I turned the worst case scenario, life in prison, no one believes that you're innocent, something out of a fucking novel. And I turned this into an opportunity that changed my entire life because I shifted my perspective. And I started asking myself, well, how can I learn and grow from this situation? How can I use this as leverage to put me in a better place in life? How can this be something I look back on in years and say, that was a good thing, not a bad thing? And it's that self-talk that'll change your entire life, bro.
I would love it if you're watching this, if you have something that helps in your morning routine, if you drop it in the comments. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining me. I want to ask, who are some people that I know that you're working with Tommy Mello. Who are some other people that you've trained that we might know about that people can think about?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Jason Walker earlier. Jason Walker was one of the first guys in the trades that reached out to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to speak at one of his events, but there was a conflict in scheduling. And then after Jason, it was Victor Rancor reached out and hired me as his personal coach for a year. And that's when, you know, I started speaking at his events, doing podcasts in this space and starting to get recognized by the home service industries, right? And then Lance Bachman, me and him are really close. I'll fly out there and spend a week with him, and I'll be speaking.
Are you getting him svelte?
Yeah, Lance is a beast,
He's
dude.
getting in there?
He's getting jacked. I mean, he's a warrior, you know? So all these guys, like, I've been able to speak at their events and build real relationships with them, Tommy Mello, and then get introduced to their worlds, their networks, you know? And so now my coaching program is literally 98% blue collar workers.
That's sweet. It's
business
a great
owners,
niche.
service tech, sales guys. And it's cool because we're all very like-minded. All these guys have similar challenges with how to balance family time, make a bunch of money and crush it, and also take care of your health, right? And so we've created this blueprint using our app and using our coaches that it's like you have a P&L and KPIs for your business for a reason. You don't want to go fucking broke, right? But nobody's living their personal life that way. So we've helped them to put all the pieces together so they're consistent and they can be fit, they can be more present with their family, and they can crush it in business.
What's the lowest level of thing that you guys offer? What's the highest level of thing?
Yeah, our monthly fee is $297. It's super low. It's $297.
Do I get to have arms like this? Come show your arms for a second.
Dude, for $297.
Can you flex in front of the camera?
You can look like our
second?
cameraman Zimmy right now.
Just show the arms, kind of give a big flex, crouch down, and get a giant. So does $297 get me these?
Hey, this is the beautiful thing about a sculpted physique. You cannot cheat it. You cannot buy it. No one can give it to you. You have to fucking earn it. Like, this is one of the most valuable things you possess in your life is the body you walk around in. And if you walk into a room, like, do people recognize you and want to make comments about your arms? Or do they just look at you as some fat fucking slob? Like, this is the truth. Everyone's judgmental. So if you're doing business and you want to, you know, build your reputation and make more of an impact, it starts with you. Like, you got to be a walking billboard of what success looks like. You know, you got to be well-spoken, groom yourself, look the part.
What does that include, the $297?
So on our app, you have a daily workout customized based on your goals, your body type, what equipment you have access to, nutrition coaching, because a lot of people don't know how to eat, what foods to eat, how much. We take a lot of time to educate them in the nutrition because this is a discipline that'll be a catalyst for success in all areas of life.
That's one of my biggest things.
Like, everyone eats for pleasure, convenience, but, you know, it has a negative side effect long term. These processed foods and the stuff that we eat is really bad for our health, our mental health, energy, longevity. So you get the workouts, the nutrition, my mindset course. You watch all the training videos and apply these concepts. And then we do 2 calls per week on Zoom with the whole community. You know, and then my coaches are checking in on the app every day. We can see who's doing the work and not. So if you miss a couple days, you're getting a message from me or my head coach, Matt Fleming. Hey, Tim, what's up, dude? I saw you missed 2 days. Talk to me. And it's that little difference right there. Like you by yourself, that might turn into 2 weeks because you're busy. But your coach reaches out, catches that, holds you accountable, and you're like, fuck, dude, I just had this, and that going on. And then we're like, well, what if you do it this way? Or, hey, bro, you committed to this. Like, can you do it this way? So it's that mentorship and accountability that makes a big difference.
What's the like highest end program that you guys have?
I mean, right now, the 297 is our bread and butter. That's the one that we want to, you know, fill up.
Tell me what Tommy Mello's got. What is his shit?
With thousands and thousands of dollars. That's a conversation that we'll have, you know, off camera because that's based on your goals, the length of the program. Those guys,
I feel like you guys are like working out together.
Are working with me one-on-one. You
every
know?
once in a while, like,
but we also have doctors.
You gotta do that morning cold plunge like Andy, like with his.
Oh yeah, with his team.
All of his hot team.
I taught Andy that. No, I'm just kidding. But
I watched these videos, like, dude, like, is everyone on your team like smoking hot, bro? Like, what is going on? Like, I mean, nothing wrong with that. I'm not. Hey, if you got standard, like, because his thing is like, if you don't have abs, get off my team.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the standard that he sets. But there's guys on his team and that he works with that don't have abs. But as long as you're working on bettering yourself, that's the message. Like, that's what Andy represents. He has a high standard. He wants to hold people accountable because he knows what they're capable of. That's what I do as well. We have Dr. J, who's a part of our program.
Really?
So Dr. J is one of my business partners. He works closely with Tommy Mello, a lot of the like high level guys here. He'll do blood work, help you to understand your cells and how they're functioning. Do you have leaky gut? Are your hormones off? That's one of our higher ticket options. But when you work with him,
like blood work and
you
stuff?
feel like a fucking superhuman. If you're working out and you're eating pretty good and then you do the work with him, it takes you to a whole other level. Your
I've been
sleep,
thinking about
your
getting
energy,
into like blood work stuff.
that he's the one to go to. I'll introduce you to him. We're actually doing a drawing and a giveaway while we're here at the Freedom event where first place wins a free lab kit with Dr. J. Second place, 90 days for free in our program. Third place is a gift card, but maybe you'll win it.
Who should I have on my podcast next?
Who should you have on your podcast?
That I might not know about, because I'm like pretty in with like I know a lot of the people in HVAC and stuff like that. But who's somebody that I wouldn't know maybe that I should have
in
on
the HVAC space,
or just anywhere, but that would be useful to our audience and home services.
What do you guys want to learn? You want to learn sales? You want to learn?
I think
have you had Victor Rancourt on here yet?
I have not.
You got to get Victor on, man. He's fucking crushing it. You know, people are gonna hate on Victor. People are gonna hate on me. They're gonna hate on other people in the industry.
Oh, I guess I did have him on. I had him on with 3 people, but
but Victor, dude, Victor has so much to offer. His results speak for themselves. He's a good person too. What I always look at is like, I don't give a fuck if you have money and success. I want to see how you are around your kids and your family. I want to see like, I'm gonna watch you closely for a year and see if you're really in integrity with who you say you are. Most people in business and just in entrepreneurship, they're fucking fake, bro. They are. They say one thing and then I see the way they're living and they're not in integrity. And it's like, I'm going to outlast all these motherfuckers because I'm going to live in integrity and be a good human being. I care about people more than anything. I want to share my story and my message because I want to get through to people and help them understand, like, this is a short temporary time that you get to live on this planet. Like, make every fucking day count. All in. Be the best version of yourself. That's my message. And it sounds cliche, but it's true. I know most people watching this want to be better. Why aren't you? What's your excuse? Crush that fucking excuse. Take action and watch how you feel in a couple of years from now.
And also crush that like and subscribe button. And thank you guys for watching. Please, you know, we were just talking about who else to have on. Please comment below with somebody that you think should be on this show. And I appreciate everyone for watching. This is the HVAC and Plumbing Hustle Podcast. Sean Michael Crane, where can people check you out?
Facebook, Sean Michael Crane, SEAN is how I spell my name. Or on Instagram, Sean_Crane_official. Shoot me a DM. You can also check out our website if you're interested in the program, unstoppable365.com.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Have a good one.